should we just reschedule this then?
Clear the air lanes for the big broadcast.
We're not professional podcasters.
Say what?
We barely know what we're doing.
It's funny because it's true.
But we have fun anyway.
I'm here to podcast.
Does everybody know what time it is?
We're going streaking! Yeah!
No, we're not. It's time for movies, pop culture, and more with the all-new Culture Cast, starting now.
I am the Gorehound.
And I'm Jen.
And we are the all-new
And
Culture...
this is the all-new Culture Cast.
What are you doing?
You didn't say anything, so I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep going.
Trying to jump the gun, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if you know this about radio, but you can't have dead air.
That's what post-production is for. It's cutting that out. All right.
Okay, let's try that again.
No, we're rolling with this. So we are missing Nick for a little bit, but he should be back in a few minutes. And tonight we are starting off our legit first Frankenstein movie, Frankenstein from 1931 and Bride of Frankenstein. But before we get into that, Jen, why don't you tell us, what have you been watching?
What have you been watching?
I have not watched anything in the last, since we recorded. I have been...
Busy girl, huh?
Very busy. Busy girl. Gotta get out, I'm trying to think. I just really think I haven't. Riverdale just came back last night, but I haven't watched the episode yet. So next week I should have a lot to say. All of it will be about Riverdale.
Yeah.
Until then.
I wanted to mention that I watched some Good Place. Because
Yay! Where are you?
How many episodes are there?
So there was a whole first season, and then there's been like 4, I think, episodes this season.
Oh, 4 so far. Nick is calling. Hey, buddy.
Hey!
All right, cool. Yeah, I started watching The Good Place, and I think I'm like 2 episodes in. I watched the entire first season, but yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes, and I was like, Jen would be proud of me.
I am proud of you.
So, what else have you been watching?
That's it.
That's it?
Right. No, Good Place and Superstore both came back, but I think I've already mentioned that one.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched anything else. I've been real busy.
Yeah. All right. Well,
yeah.
Busy is good. So, Nick, Mr. Latecomer, what have you been watching?
Hey, everyone. Sorry about that. Not much since we last talked. A couple of shows I usually watch have come back. I mean, this is the big return.
That it is.
I just watched the first episode of the new season of The Flash, which came back. Hopefully the show kind of turns it around after the last couple of seasons. People have been sort of on the show, so I don't know. We'll see.
I watched the very, very popular It movie. I went to the theaters and saw that. And it was... I wasn't really a fan of the first one. It was... Stephen King is one of those guys who, like, I will admit his movies are fantastic. Pet Sematary was one of the few movies that gave me like reoccurring nightmares. But all the other ones, they're fantastic. But it's like right on the verge of, I don't know. When I think of a horror movie, I think of monsters, grossness, and like fright. And this is more of like more drama, more like make you think about this, suspenseful, and I'm just, I had originally set out to go see Flatliners, the remake.
Why would you want to do that?
Because Ellen Page was in it, and I liked the original, so I was like, seems legit. But just nobody was talking about it. I looked up some of the reviews, and they were just like, this movie is difficult to sit through. And then I heard that like Ellen Page dies halfway through, and I was like,
just like her career.
She's doing okay, and I'm a lifelong fan after Juno, so it was a good movie, very scary, but I just didn't really care for it. So, but the one thing that was noteworthy was that I watched the first episode of Mr. Robot this season last night, and it was so good. I was so drawn in, and I was enthralled in it. I've really been looking forward to watching it. It's been building on me. Cousin Charles pinged us and said he's going to be jumping on in, but
or as we call him, Cuz.
Yeah, Cuz.
Yeah, I saw he wasn't on here yet, so I wasn't sure what the story was.
He just Facebooked that he'll be here in a second.
But let us move on. And Man Crush of the Week.
Yeah,
unless you guys have anything.
Nah.
Nope.
Man Crush.
No. I feel like a lot of these kind of just go in common sense order. So if you were to take a guess based on what I've been watching, what would you say?
Ellen Page.
Ellen Page, huh? Jen, do you have a guess?
Oh, God. Okay, well, it can't be the guy from Shameless because we banned you.
Yeah, and it's been many, many weeks.
The guy from Mr. Robot.
It is!
Yeah.
Rami Malek.
Hello.
Alec. Cuz, how are you doing?
Good. Sorry, sorry. I forgot tonight we were recording. My apologies.
That's all right.
Unacceptable.
Nick got here a little bit late too, and me and Jen were just waiting for 20 minutes for you two slackers to jump on in.
We were hanging out. We were gossiping about high school.
Oh yeah, I told her one of my famous ghost hunting stories.
Gorehound has to bounce at 9:15, so let's carry on.
Enough with his man crush bullshit.
No. I mean, let's carry on with the man crush.
No, Rami Malek he was just awesome, and he is such a central character to Mr. Robot, but it's not all about him either. Like, all of these characters have been so built up in the series that I feel like it's very solid and well-rounded series. Like the second season, I started to drop off because it was just getting way too confusing, and albeit it is a complex story with, like, is this really happening? Who's hacking who? And whatnot. But no, I like it because he hasn't really changed a whole lot. And I listened to a whole bunch of podcasts interviewing him and the creator and Christian Slater. And they were saying, like, they really haven't changed his, like, outfit at all. And I was just thinking, like, he's almost like a hacker man superhero at this point. And it kind of reminds me of the hacker man from that
Kung Fury?
Yes. Yeah, it's like, this is, like, yes, it is just another movie, just like Kung Fury, but, like, he's, like, more of a legit hacker man.
For those of you who want to learn more about Kung Fury, come check out our 9th episode in which the Gorehound and I talked about Kung Fury.
Did you know that offhand that it was the 9th episode?
Yeah. No, I quickly looked it up.
Man, look at this guy. Oh, man. You should have just rolled with it.
I should have.
Nick, you know what? Thank you.
So, all right.
All right. Shall we begin our analysis of Frankenstein?
Yes. Can I?
Absolutely.
Because I wasn't
Was it
at
Frankenstein?
because I wasn't at the beginning there, I wanted to mention that this is an episode. Next couple of episodes I've been looking forward to for quite a while. I think I brought it up to you, Gorehound, a couple months back, and I'm very excited that we're talking about it. And today we're talking about the first two films, correct? The Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein.
You are correct.
All right, this is going to begin our Frankenstein month here on officially begin the Frankenstein month here on the podcast. Frankenstein month.
Yeah, you have been looking forward to it for a while.
I have, yes. Yeah, let's dive into this. So, Frankenstein, hi Ben.
He seems to need to go out. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're just like upping and going. And I was even going to ask Jen another question right here, so I guess we're going. So I've watched these films, and the first two especially, since I was like a little kid. So I have these things like embedded in my memory. But Gorehound, you've never seen this movie before, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really watch a whole lot of old horror movies. I like the old movies that I watch are usually, like I mentioned before, like old sci-fi movies that I do not pay attention to whatsoever, and I usually just like put on to put me to sleep. So I really don't get exposed to at least these American cinema movies. Like I went really deep into Italian horror movies, but that was like 70s and 80s, and that was like the furthest back that I think I went.
And Cuz, when did you watch Frankenstein for the first time?
Late last week.
Okay, so this is like super
Binged them
fresh.
both in one night.
Which you can do because they're not very long movies. And I'm going to guess, based on prior conversations with Jen, that she is fresh seeing it. So I have to ask you guys, looking at this from a modern perspective, fresh after seeing a lot of other movies in a 2017 mindset, what did you guys think of the films in general?
Because you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. The first film, well, the one thing I will say about both films is that they're very quickly paced.
Mm-hmm.
Like, compared to a lot of modern movies, which feel like they kind of sort of naturally lead up to their climax and then have their falling action. This one, it's very much like, right, especially the first Frankenstein, leads you right off the bat with it. Like, how a lot of movies nowadays, they have to give the origin, like, if you were to make Frankenstein today, well, I guess there's that Victor Frankenstein, but I didn't see that. But like, if you were to take the 30s Frankenstein script and make it today, there would be like a 20-minute scene of building up to Frankenstein stealing that first body. Not in the 32. It's boom, right off the bat. Him and Fritz, not Igor, Fritz, are taking that first body right off the grave. If you don't know anything about Frankenstein, tough luck, because it's just going to throw you right in there, and it moves so quickly. But there are a lot of elements that today we would kind of be sort of cliche, that kind of work. Like, they feel very. There's some stuff I really like. I really like whoever played Henry Frankenstein. He was fantastic in the first movie.
Colin Clive, who is a real life drunk. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of following the preachings of my Lord and Savior, Afro Man, having a Colt 45 and 2 zigzags. No, but the first, of course, you got Boris Karloff as the monster, which is fantastic, and I do love like how the first movie really is fantastic. The second movie, I know there's a lot of people like it. I did not. It was very much an off the wall sort of sequel in many ways. Like, the first movie kind of works as like an open and shut case, and so first movie loved. So I'll just say that, just wrap it up. The second movie is so weird for a sequel because first of all, it basically says. I've read the book. I remember actually reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, like in high school. So the first shot of the sequel basically says, the movie that came before this, that's exactly how the book is.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Yeah, but then she goes, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the sequel in a little bit because there's much to talk about that. But
in short, I think the sequel is very bizarre in a lot of ways, but also interesting in a lot of different ways. But we'll say, if we're going to say that for a later part of this podcast, I'm game for that because I got a lot of opinions.
Okay, Gorehound, what about you?
The book was like one of my very first books in high school that I like really read and was enthralled with. I like loved it, and before that I never legitimately read a book. And this one was like the difference between like apathy and love and hate. I was like, that's it. It was just so interesting. And so I really took the book in, and I was kind of just comparing it to the book the entire time. So I knew what was going to happen. And so from a modern perspective, it wasn't really fresh to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is just an adaptation that I'm just judging based by the book.
Well, that could be a key mistake because the book is so different from the movies. They take a lot of like key elements, but yeah, well, I have my thoughts on that. But Jen, are you back yet?
I am.
All right. What were your initial thoughts on Frankenstein?
I think it went very slow at the beginning. I was a little bit, kind of in the, well, it's on DVD, so I'm going to pause it and then leave for a day. But once I really started like sitting down and forcing myself to watch it, it actually was kind of interesting. I mean, both, as a story, but also as a historical document and kind of the, I have not seen a lot of really old movies like that. And so to kind of watch before we'd really developed pacing, that was interesting.
Now, it's definitely from what they call like the golden age of Hollywood, where they're just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what was sticking. So it's the style is very different from something you would see today. Even between the original Frankenstein and the Bride, it's very, very different, just in the few years in between. But it's interesting that you say that the film was slow, whereas, Charlie, you were saying you thought the film was very quick-paced.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that watching the same film, you're picking up two different, not interpretations, but getting two different feels from it. So you two need to fight to find out which one it actually is.
I mean, it's interesting because, I could understand, it definitely doesn't start, I mean, other than the literal, like, preamble to the film, it doesn't really have a lot of preamble, like, just all of a sudden, they're having conversation, and it's not like, you don't have, like, the 4 minutes, of montage at the beginning of movies that we oftentimes have. Right, where it's like, oh, characters curling their hair and putting on clothes and going to go to school or whatever, So you're kind of spared a lot of that. But at the same time, there's a lot of like, oh, we're gonna stand here. We don't know about quick cuts yet. Like, it's very interesting to kind of compare.
These older movies, especially the first Frankenstein, is almost filmed like a play, if you think about it.
It is, yes. And that, I mean, right. And I think that's what it... And, I love the theater, don't get me wrong, but it definitely feels much more like a static, and to kind of watch and, like, see, you're like, okay, that's definitely the back lot in somewhere in California, scenes that were so obviously filmed on, on a soundstage, which was kind of delightful.
There was definitely sort of jumping off of that. I think the only scene that I could think of, or the only scene that definitely really sort of showed its age was near the end when they're supposed to be in the mountains, and you can clearly see that's like a tarp or something that they painted to look like a sky. It's like, oh, like most of the sets are still stand up, but that one's like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then they had the backdrop. But for the interesting about this movie, James Whale, the director of it, you would never expect this from Hollywood today, but he was pretty much given total creative control over the whole movie.
Wow.
Like, there was a lot of stuff that the Hollywood execs wanted to do, and he was like, no, we're not going to do that. Fun fact and early trivia, I guess the original person they wanted to cast as the monster was Bela Lugosi, who was hot off of the Dracula train.
Yeah, I read that too.
But Lugosi scoffed, saying, oh, I'm not going to have any lines, and he's going to be covered with makeup. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And so, which led to the casting of Boris Karloff, who was pretty much an actor about ready to quit acting because he wasn't getting anything. And
really?
Probably because his head was so square.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And when he was offered the monster, he thought this is going to be a great opportunity, and which it clearly did because it was his career-defining role. So, it's interesting to think that pretty much everything done in that movie was purely from a director's standpoint. Today, you have studio heads and executives saying, "What about this? Make this change. Make that change. You got to do this." And any project will get diluted down because it has to hit the 4 quadrants because we got to get the most audience potential. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, for this film, was allowed to do that, and it paid off for them greatly because this was one of the biggest hits. Loaded question, but what did you guys think of the makeup of the monster?
It's kind of hard to. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that's hard to criticize in the sense of because it's so iconic and sort of kind of ingrained. It still holds up. Especially I think being in black and white definitely helps hide any sort of imperfections in it. Because it's kind of hard to argue against it when it's something so kind of sort of iconic looking as the, kind of like the classic Frankenstein monster makeup. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I really don't know where they got green though. That's my only thing. Everyone, whenever they show the Frankenstein monster, he's always green. I don't know where that came in.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, and I don't think the makeup was green in real life. I think I've seen behind the scenes pictures that were in color, and the green element's kind of odd. But
yeah, I never really noticed that when you see Frankenstein in color, he's green, but you would never have thought that in the movie. I would think that it would be more pale and white instead of green. I mean, maybe he's got, I don't know, some sort of plant material on him or something like that.
He has a bad case of gangrene.
Yeah, some chlorophyll got in the system.
I guess I guess it would be more like the Monster Squad look of Frankenstein if you really think about it. Call back to last episode.
So,
yeah. Like Cos was saying, it's I don't really see this as makeup because I've seen it so much, and you can't just take it as that is Boris Karloff. And I even try to find a picture of Boris Karloff. What does he actually look like? And it's I prefer Frankenstein.
Karloff
so not your man crush of the week.
No.
Karloff is he was not a good looking guy.
Yeah.
Definitely had some harsh features.
Now, how would you feel if in 70 years some people were doing a podcast about podcasts back in the day and they were like, wow, Gorehound, Nick, completely average looking?
I would say they would be accurate.
Yeah, I concur with that statement.
Karloff definitely had a unique look about him. He also, interestingly enough, if you didn't already know this, he played the Mummy in the original Mummy movie back around this time as well.
Oh, did he also? Did he do that?
Yep. Yeah, he was the first Mummy, and then I don't know what he was after that.
He comes back in a later Frankenstein film after he gave up the role of the monster, playing a mad scientist type. But we'll get to that in a few weeks.
Can you think of any modern day actors that you think would play a good Frankenstein?
Javier Bardem.
Yeah, I could see that.
Aren't they doing that kind of with the dark universe or some?
They are trying to do the reboot of the which was supposed to start with the Mummy, which Mummy bombed. So who knows what's going to happen? And Javier Bardem was I guess tapped to play the Frankenstein monster.
Actually, I'm not going to upstage you, Nick, but I think it was actually supposed to start back with Dracula Untold. Anybody remembers that movie?
That's partially true. Dracula Untold was not made to be part of that universe because they decided to do that after they started making Dracula, and they tried to film some stuff to tie it in after the fact, but they since abandoned that. They've cut Dracula Untold from the thing.
Yeah, because I think there was like I remember reading somewhere there was supposed to be like a post-credit scene that's like, in modern day, it's like, okay, that's
like
supposed to be the start of this whole thing.
Luke Evans is not going to be popping up against Tom Cruise anytime soon. So, but anyway, we're not talking about modern day movies. We're talking about classic films. Let's, in the interest of some time, let's move on briefly to The Bride of Frankenstein. Now, this film is considered to be the strongest of the Frankenstein films, and many people consider it to be arguably the greatest horror film of all time.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
wow.
It doesn't even kill a child this time.
What's that?
Are they like smoking something? Like
Well,
that's
Like, doesn't even kill a child.
Jen wants to kill children? What?
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know how you can say it's the best horror movie of all time when the first horror movie had him killing a child, thinking the child would float.
True.
Which is pretty horrifying.
I don't know if I totally agree with it, but I think the sentiment is it's probably arguably the best of these style of horror movies. But I think the argument is that this film takes what worked in the first film and amped it up in every way possible. Like they added a soundtrack, like a musical score, which really wasn't present in the first Frankenstein movie.
That's true.
They gave depth more to the monster. There was more symbolism. There was a ton of religious allegory in that film. They add strong elements of humor, and the characters are overall deeper. That some folks would find it to be a superior effort. The effects are bigger, especially with the little miniature monster people that they had in there. So the film had a lot going on, and a lot of people like it, except apparently Cousin Charlie here. But yeah, I'm throwing you under the bus. But
Okay.
But what Jen? What did you think of The Bride?
I mean, here's the thing. If you're going to have a movie and it's going to be called Bride of Frankenstein, she should be in the movie for more than like 25 seconds. But I will say, I mean, the scene with the blind monk or whatever, I thought that was very good. Other than that, I'm not really sure it hit a lot of new notes for me. I mean, throwing in another villain just didn't really, I don't know. I just didn't find it narratively satisfying, except, like I said, I did like the idea that he could make a friend and maybe learn some stuff, that it wasn't, he wasn't just doomed to be a monosyllabic, idiot walking around. So I liked that aspect of it. But narratively, I'm not sure just like putting in a different villain and then having it end with him catching on fire again, but maybe not. I don't know. Didn't do a lot for me.
Gorehound, what about you?
Jen, did you enjoy it? The movie in general?
I would say the second one went a lot quicker for me. I think partially because I had to watch it in order to finish in time to record the podcast.
Yeah.
But I do think it went a little bit faster, so I think that's good. There is something to be said for these like 80-minute movies. Nowadays all movies have to be like 2.5 hours, and you're like, that's great, but why?
Well,
but I've always said, the longer the movie, the more bang for your buck. And I will stand by that. I always think movies should be longer, but I'm also a patient guy. So,
All right. So, to anyone who finds Bride of Frankenstein be the greatest horror film of all time, sit back, relax. I'm about to tell you why you're dead wrong. Okay? First of all, the first movie paints the monster as being kind of like this sort of child, but also sort of kind of like a caged animal, where it's kind of like it doesn't really know what it's doing. It's more it's very sympathetic. That's always been the core of the Frankenstein monster, and for like most of this film, it kind of achieves that, except for like the opening, which pretty much has like the dad and like the mom of like the drowned girl from the first movie get like brutally murdered by the monster just cause he's like,
yeah, it's awesome.
Come on, dear, let's go home. Now I'm gonna see what's in this hole, eh?
Okay.
Oh my god! and then the wife gets thrown in, which is actually pretty funny. Like I said, I agree wholeheartedly with Jen. Like I said, the stuff with the blind guy, which is kind of, from what I remember from high school, that's kind of sort of a play on what they did in the book, in the original story. I thought was really well done. But, oh man, there's just some really weird elements to the story, which is just like, and the biggest weird element's got a name, Dr. Pretorius. There's a part of me that kind of likes this character, but the part of me is like, where the hell did this guy come from?
Yeah, he wasn't in the book, right?
No.
He's a new character for the movie.
Okay.
Which, I didn't understand, why did he need Frankenstein? Because, I mean, he was able to make, not only was he able to, like, sort of grow life, as he said, but he was able to grow conscious beings.
Granted, and they were tiny.
They were tiny, but still, like, that's pretty up there. Like, that's still, like, a lot more advanced than,
Good science, yeah.
Yeah, than just the zombie, which, I know Frankenstein's monster's not a zombie, but, it's basically a zombie at the end of the day. Which is just kind of like, here, let me show you my creations. And it's like, it was just like, okay, we're going to have the visual effects team sort of just show off what we can do. And it's really well done, and the effects still hold up, but it's also really weird. Like, wait, this is what's in the sequel to Frankenstein? Tiny little people? Like, and I feel like there's some sort of commentary on the monarchy in there somewhere, which I don't give a crap about the monarchy, but I just feel like they're trying to say something. I don't know what it is, but they're trying to say something. Definitely agree with Jen, again, about the bride. She's in there, again, an iconic look. Although I do wish, like, for some reason I was thinking, like, okay, Frankenstein's wife is captured, and he's constantly asking, like, where are you getting the body? Where are you getting the body? I was hoping that the final twist would have been revealed that his bride-to-be was going to be the Bride of Frankenstein, which would have made more sense with the title.
I was thinking the same thing while I was watching. I was like, oh, so she's going to be the bride, and then that was just not.
Okay, let me, there's a lot of things happening here that I need to weigh in on. First of all, the killed parents at the beginning. The monster's kind of PO'd at the moment because, the whole village is trying to burn him. So he sees this chump wandering around. Yeah, he's going to take his vengeance out on. He's going to be a little frustrated. And the mother, he was just kind of like, I need to get up. Sorry, toots, whatever. So I can understand. I can understand why he killed those people. He was upset. He's like a wounded animal, And Pretorius, see, he can make some life, but he could not do what Frankenstein was able to do. And so he needed his help. So he, kind of manipulates Frankenstein into helping him build this bride. There is a narrative issue because Henry disappears for like 2/3 of the movie, it seems like. And when he comes back towards like the final act, where he finally gets convinced to make the second monster, there seems to be a timeline problem somewhere, but whatever. I think a lot of that had to do was that Colin Clive was an alcoholic, and they probably can only get him sober for a while. That's why he's sitting a lot in the movie, and he's in a bed a lot for the movie. But to your point about the Bride of Frankenstein, I didn't mind that because they were building up to it. I kind of like the build up and the reveal. It works for me. But both you, Jen, you and Charlie both mentioned this. If you remember that they couldn't get the heart working towards the end. There's like, we gotta get the heart. We gotta get a fresh heart. You gotta go. And so Pretorius sends out one of his goons, who incidentally is played by the same actor who played Fritz in the first movie, but is a different character. Sends it out, and you see a quick scene of him like grabbing a random girl on the street. In the original script, he grabbed Frankenstein's wife, killed her, and that's the heart they use in The Bride. And it's kind of explain. It kind of explains the title, Bride of Frankenstein. Two, Two, it explains why the bride is kind of being drawn to Henry when she gets alive, and kind of like looks to him for protection. And 3, the whole ending was changed to that movie. Originally, and this was going to be my trivia of the day, but oh well. Originally, when when the monster takes the lever and says, "We belong dead," in the final film version, he's like, "You go, you live," and Henry runs out and meets up with his bride, who just happens to be there. But in the original version, he's in that room when he pulls the lever and the whole castle comes down on them. There's even a wide shot, that when the rocks are falling, you could see the doctor, Dr. Frankenstein in the corner of the room from the earlier version before they reshot the ending. I guess they thought that was a little too dark of where they wanted it to go, and they wanted to have some, not a happy ending, but some semblance of hope, so they left the doctor to live. Also, if they ever made a sequel, they wanted the doctor to still be alive. So that's why they kind of redid that. So you two both make good points, because that was the original intention of the film, that they were going to kill his wife and use at least her heart as the actual bride. Which
fascinating.
That is.
Which I admit might be a better way to go. I think it's a little darker. It's twisted. It fits in with the twistedness of this film, because this film it's so dark in times, like with the humor and everything. But yeah. So
there was. Oh, sorry, Dick. There was actually one more gripe I had, and this is actually a major one. Whoever that screeching like nurse or like maid was, the monster.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the monster. I was like, oh my god, why are you in this movie? Shut up.
She's hilarious. What are you talking about?
Hilarious. Oh my man, she is annoying. She drags us. If it wasn't for the fact that Dr. Pretorius created conscious life with tiny people, I'd be more annoyed at that screeching, witch or whatever. I don't know.
Well,
Halloween.
You also have to realize that this was like comedy back in the those days with these types of movies.
Yeah.
So,
just wait until young Frankenstein comes along.
So yeah, Minnie, that's her name. Minnie is over the top, but I don't know. I think they use her just enough without it being too much, because she does kind of disappear halfway through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. But still, I just wanted to bring her up.
It's a very different sensibility too. Like they hadn't really invented humor yet, so.
Well, again, this is James Whale directed this one, and he originally didn't want to direct it because he's like, he didn't want to do something again. But they convinced him, because the first one was such a hit, they gave him more creative control over the film, and so he just went balls to the wall crazy. It's like, let's see how crazy I can get with this, and yeah, he certainly did. That's for sure.
I haven't mentioned that my opinion of the movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because Nick, you had really built this film up, and I was actually looking for this movie for a long time, and I couldn't find it, or I just didn't get around to it. But I think that really elevated this, and I really didn't see anything wrong with this film. Like, it was like 5 out of 5 for me. Not the best horror movie, because I won't say that any movie is the best horror movie. But yeah, I mean, this was any of the inconsistencies or like questions, I kind of just blew past, because I was like, I'm intrigued with this. This is like a fresh take on Frankenstein, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't. The only thing that I knew was the book, and so coming into this, it was completely fresh. I think my only gripe was that there wasn't enough of the bride.
Yeah,
because she really only comes in for the last 10 minutes or something like that. And yeah, I wanted to see more of her, and I was expecting this movie to be like 75% to be about the bride and Frankenstein, which it's not a bad thing that she was only in the last 10 minutes, because it really built up to it. But yeah, that was, I think, the only gripe that I had with that.
I think some of the mystique about the bride is that she doesn't get a lot of screen time, so there's a bit of a mystery. And I think, in terms of pop culture,
certainly, it really holds her up to like a high pedestal.
You're not peeling back that curtain and seeing, the man behind the curtain. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if this is the greatest horror film of all time. I've heard that being applied to this film. I've also heard that this film is considered to be one of the best sequels of all time, and I will gladly give it. I will gladly give it that credit. Maybe I don't know.
T2 is a better sequel.
Well,
T2 is the best sequel ever.
Well, I'm just saying, like, one of. I'm not saying it is the best sequel, but I'm saying it is one of the best sequels out there. But
yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, so everyone's complaining about you didn't see the bride much, but you actually saw the actress earlier in the film. The actress.
You're just full of fun facts today,
I know.
aren't you?
The actress who played the bride also played Mary Shelley at the opening prologue.
What did you guys think about the prologue?
Unnecessary, but whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely an odd way to begin your movie, given the fact that the first movie's opening was actually quite charming, where you had the I forgot to mention this when we talked about Frankenstein. The opening where they had the guy basically say, "The director would like me to warn you as the audience that what you're about to see may quite terrify you." Like, that's charming. The Mary Shelley sort of like recapping what happened in Frankenstein is kind of just a little weird, because it's a little out there, and it doesn't really come back in besides just saying, "Hey, remember Mary Shelley wrote this book?"
I think they had that opening for two reasons. One, to have a unique opening, and two, keep in mind this was made in the years before, way before home video rental and TV and movies on TV. So
that's true.
If you didn't see the first one, you're not going to know what's happening, or at least you're going to be a little lost. So I think it was another way to just briefly recap the first one. And I don't know, they did it in a unique way. They don't go back to it at the end of the film like a typical bookend would, but I don't know what they would do. Like, and that's the story. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So,
with maybe even like a teaser, like, "Oh, I wonder what else you could write."
Yeah.
Well, there's more to the story, or like something like that. But no, I just thought it was very bizarre.
What was your opinion on it, Jen?
I mean, I thought it was kind of goofy, but I think you have a good point about them. If they didn't see the original, they're not going to see it. And I mean, I think the actual story about her writing Frankenstein is interesting. I just don't think it really sold it on the page. But I mean, I would watch a movie about that topic, no question.
I think they actually did make a movie about how she wrote Frankenstein.
Okay, well, I guess I wouldn't watch it then, because I haven't.
There are so many adaptations of this, and I'm sure that there's a Mary Shelley movie, which I would be thrilled to check out, because it's the entire universe around Frankenstein is just so intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drop off.
All right, later, bud.
So, cool.
See you later.
Care.
So
Later.
All right, so
Glad that he's gone.
yeah, I know, right? Let's really talk about this movie. So yeah, I'm trying to look it up here if there was a movie called about. I could have sworn there was one that was made about the making of Frankenstein. I can't imagine that being too interesting. But do you know the history about Mary Shelley at all?
Yeah, she was really interesting. She, her mom was Mary Wollstonecraft, died when she was a baby, and she wrote this basically, when she and her husband and what's his name were all in a like summer cabin, telling ghost stories, which has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, she seems like a really cool lady.
I've heard different things that with the book, and Jen, maybe you might know about this, and Charlie, you might know about this too, that she couldn't get published at first because she was a woman, and I think it was published anonymously, but I could be wrong about that.
I've heard some rumors, about that, about something like that, or it might, or it's going to be published under her husband's name or something along those lines. But definitely, I know that, because again,
I mean, it definitely wasn't her only book, but
right.
I mean, in many ways, she sort of invented science fiction, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, sci-fi the way we know it, anyway. Yeah.
Right. Certainly. Yeah. I'm not sure about that, but she had a really interesting life. There's a podcast out there called The History Chicks, and they do podcasts where they talk about various female historical figures. And they had an episode on Mary Shelley, and then also one on her mother. And and each of those podcasts were like 90 minutes or something along those lines. And a lot of really interesting stuff happened to both of them. So definitely something people should check out if they're interested, because she had an interesting life, definitely.
I would want to check that out. That does sound pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other things to say about the first two Frankenstein movies. I find it kind of tough because I love these films. I could talk day and night about these movies. I mean, Jack Pierce, who did the makeup for this and many of the other horror films around this time, kind of revolutionized how makeup is done. And but like I'm kind of at a loss of where to lead the discussion at the moment. So I don't know what thoughts do you guys have in terms of these older movies?
It definitely made me want to go watch some older movies, just to kind of get some more perspective on it. Because I think like I said, I just have not watched a lot of movies from the 30s. It's just, but
I would say,
yeah.
I would say kind of like in the last podcast, or the last episode, I said that we watched Monster Squad, and then I'd actually seen It, which is kind of like the latest and greatest in sort of like creature features and sci-fi and like horror. And I would say definitely watching these movies, they have such a unique, different like flavor to them, like in terms of like a cinema viewing experience, that they really can't be compared. I would say there is a lot more there's a lot more thought put into these movies. Even Bride of Frankenstein, which I do not like, I still respect a lot more. I do respect the whole, okay, we're going for this kind of attitude of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. But there's definitely a lot more of a timeless quality to these movies than honestly to something like It that they released this year. There's something smarter, there's something more genuine, and something more timeless. I think is kind of what. There's a reason why these movies have stood the test of time.
Definitely so. You're both right on the money. I think it's funny how horror has changed over time. Like, I've read reports or articles that in the first movie, when you see the monster the first time, they have those jump cuts that get closer and closer and closer to his face. And people were like horrified, and they would be fainting. And I also read about how the Bride of Frankenstein was actually subjected to censorship during its run because of the horror nature of the film.
I wonder what parts they would have cut.
Well, it's funny. Let's see. I guess there was I'm looking it up on. There's some stuff on Wikipedia about it. There's one thing with a line where Henry Frankenstein compares himself to God, like his work, and they said, "Oh, that's blasphemy. You can't have that." There was the shot where they, at the beginning of Bride of Frankenstein, they capture the monster and they string him up in a Jesus crucifix type way. That was considered a little, you can't do that. Even though that's exactly what the filmmaker was trying to go for, with the monster being kind of like an anti-Jesus, because Jesus came back from the dead, and this guy came from the dead. And I guess, and this is hilarious, especially in today's world. According to this, Elsa Lanchester, who played the bride and Mary Shelley, they thought when she was playing Mary Shelley that her dress was a little too risque and too much of her breasts were showing. And
oh my God!
It's hilarious in hindsight about what people were upset about, I guess, or getting worked up over back in those days. And while in today's world, especially with the breast argument, you have like actresses like, say, Megan Fox, who in a lot of her films she intentionally dresses or is costume in skimpy outfits. That stuff always fascinates me about how social values change over time. Because you look at the film and nothing in that film is questionable, I think, at all in today's audiences.
Mm-hmm.
So
you could show like Frankenstein to like a 5-year-old almost, and they may be a little freaked out, but I don't think they would. Maybe not 5-year-old, probably an 8-year-old would not be freaked out by that movie. Like they wouldn't be scared at all. They may be interested. They might get bored, but I don't think they would be terrified. If you showed a movie from like this year, like even like some sort of like straight to DVD like horror movie with like really cheap gore effects and like stuff like that, show that to an audience in like 1934, I think everyone in the theater might have had a heart attack.
That would be interesting.
Special effects have gotten a lot better.
Well,
I'll say that.
Even though this film was made in the 30s, I thought the effects were still pretty darn good overall. But I guess the film didn't rely on a whole lot of special effects outside of the miniature scene. Oh my God, this is great. This is great. So, I'm going to read this straight. Censors in England and China objected to the scene where the monster gazes longingly upon the as-yet unanimated body of the bride, citing concerns that look like necrophilia.
I mean, it sort of is. It sort of is, though.
Well, I suppose, but
If they're both dead adjacent.
But there's one unusual objection from the Japanese censors, was that a scene where Pretorius chases his miniature Henry VIII with tweezers constituted making a fool out of a king. So they wanted that censored.
Really?
Yeah.
I felt like they were, like I said, I felt like they were saying something about that, but at the same time, I was just like, this is kind of silly, but kind of also a little delightful.
Yeah.
Did not realize that counted as that. Who knew?
So, what did you guys think of the homosexual undertones of the Bride of Frankenstein?
The what?
I didn't pick up on them.
Oh, there's...
Am I missing something?
In The Bride of Frankenstein, there is... A lot of film scholars say that there's a homosexual reading of this film. Particularly because the director, James Whale, was openly gay, which in Hollywood at that time was...
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah. And a couple of the actors in the film were suspected to be gay, including the Dr. Pretorius, and it's heavily implied that that the character itself was gay without actually saying that he was gay, giving the way he kind of presents himself and acts around Henry. Like, he's not like the over-the-top Jack from Will and Grace, but like just little like hints here and there.
I did pick up he was a little eccentric, but I just figured he was eccentric for the sake of eccentricity.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. This I don't believe, or I don't buy into, but some people think that the relationship between the hermit and the monster had underpinnings of homosexuality. But I just see that as a strong friendship. But stuff like that hasn't changed. You have modern audiences that believe that two characters of the same gender can't just be friends.
Oh no! Like I remember this guy getting sidetracked. I remember there was some sort of online campaign, like to make Captain America and Bucky gay in the Avengers or something like that.
Yes, I remember that.
But that's kind of interesting that there is some sort of kind of knowing that, because I didn't realize that about the director. But that's kind of interesting. So that might maybe relook at Bride. Maybe relook at some of the scenes in Bride, especially between Pretorius and Henry. See, we learned some. You learned some new on the all new Culture Cast.
I know, right? I'm trying to think of other fun facts about this movie. It's also good to know that male leads always had a very, very young female love interest. Henry Frankenstein's love interest in the second movie was 19 or so at the time when she did this role.
Really?
Really?
Let's see. She was born in 1917, and the film came out in 1935. So, and Colin Clive, who died unfortunately about 2 years after The Bride came out, was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, he suffered from alcoholism, and that's what kind of did him in. He was in his he was 35 at the time. So watching this movie when I was a little kid, I never picked up at the age difference between the two. Maybe because they have her dress older, I don't know. But it's just funny how little has changed in Hollywood.
I was about to say, compared to now, when all characters are played by, all relationships are people evenly distributed age-wise.
Anyway, I don't know. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Frankenstein or the Bride of Frankenstein that hasn't been already said?
It was kind of fun.
Will you be joining us next week for the next two films?
I have to remember what the next few films are, honestly.
The Son of Frankenstein and The Ghost of Frankenstein.
I'll see what I can do. Now I remember. I was trying to see if I could find those at like a library or streaming somewhere. I wasn't able to figure it out, but I'll try again and see if it's, see if I can figure something out there.
Okay. Well, let us know. But yeah. I don't have any trivia because I've been saying it throughout the entire show.
It's good trivia though tonight.
A lot of good stuff.
The more you know.
Bum.
So I guess we'll pack it in. So
yeah, let's do it.
Thank you guys for indulging me on the first week of Frankenstein month, and I look forward to doing it again. So for the all new Culture Cast, I'm Nick. Oh wait, no,
I'm Jen.
Or Jen, do you want to go first since you, I guess, brought us in originally?
Did I? Okay, all right. What do you want me to say?
Whatever you want.
All right, we're going to wrap it up tonight. So, from the all-new Culture Cast, I'm Jen.
I'm Cousin Charles.
And I'm Nick.
And we'll be back next week.
You've been listening to the all-new Culture Cast, one of Chicagoland's finest podcasts.
You're making me fall asleep to death.
Well, I guess there's not much we can do about that. In the meantime, check out our blog at znculturecast.wordpress.com. Send us an email at nick.culturecast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback, comments, and requests. Follow us on social media. Theme music by bensound.com. This has been a Saltwater production, copyright 2017. Thanks for listening. But I do hear that there's an opening at the Heinstead Company so maybe they can hire us as movie producers.